Good morning YouTube, Dal here from Zephyr War Games, and today we've got a very nice surprise for you. So we've got 4 brand new cards which are from a previous lore in a sense. So we've got 4 brand new cards, 3 of them being pendulum monsters, 1 of them being a spell card, and they're basically pendulum renditions of the basically Dracos. So you've got Diagram, you've got Ignis, you've got Majesty Pegasus or Majesty Maiden, and then you've also got Dynamite Knuckle, which is really cool because they also integrate other archetypes from that era. So you've got Magispectors, you've got Dynamis, and I can't remember exactly off the top of my head which one the Ignis is, but we'll soon see that in a minute. Anyway, with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you do not miss out on any more upcoming news drops. Let's start off with the first one, and the first one is the Magistus Pegasus, the Dracoslayer. So if you have a Dracoslayer or Magispector card in your other Pendulum Zone, you get to add a Dracoslayer Pendulum monster with a different original name from your deck to the hand, then destroy 1 card in your Pendulum Zone specifically. You can only use this effect once per turn. So what's kind of cool about this is it will get you to, obviously in the OCG I believe it will get you to Kirin still. In the TCG you can get yourself to Bombuku, which is obviously the searcher for Magispectors, and of course it's a level 2 scale. I know straight away, because my first reaction was, hang on, this is really weird that Dracos have got a pendulum, because obviously Dracos are synonymous for not using their extra deck. But this is kind of saying, well, you know what, we're actually going to give Draco Pals an update, and we're also going to give little bits of support for these other pendulum based archetypes, which is really cool. Massive shout out to Alan Mack as well, who puts these proxies together. If you see him on Zodiac Duelist and you download these pictures, they're already pre-sized for you as well, so you can just download them, put them into a Word document, print them out, cut them out, and you'll have proxies ready to go. Its pendulum monster effect is as follows. Its card is always treated as a Magispector card, so it is searchable from Bambuku. Quick effect, you can discard this card until the end of this turn. Your opponent cannot target Dracoslayer monsters you control with card effects. Also, they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. If this card in the Pendulum Zone or special summoned by a Dracoslayer card's effect, you can add 1 field spell from your deck to the hand, then discard 1 card. So this is just in generic, like legit, just search out field spell. So this might, if this card is Pendulum summoned or special summoned by the Dracoslayer card effect, you just search out any field spell. So if you really, really wanted to, you could mix this with Dracos, which I think is what they were looking to do. Is like you could mix this with Dracos, you can mix this with the Magispectors, you could pretty much mix it with anything. So yeah, this is a pretty strong card starting off. We then got Ignis Phoenix, the Dracoslayer. Oh yeah, this one, it works with Ignites, which is really cool. Again, I love the artworks, because the artworks are basically the machines or the bodies before they've merged with the individuals. Or maybe they're after. These could actually be after. Obviously, if you follow the lore of the Dracoslayers and the Magispectors and all of that, they kind of, I think it's like Christrons as well. They actually come together to fight off VFD or King Calamity, basically. So they fight the True Kings, which is really, really cool. And you kind of see where they go to from here. So the pendulum effect is during your main phase, you can shuffle 1 face-up pendulum monster from your extra deck into the deck, then add a Dracoslayer or Ignis monster from your deck to your hand except itself. Only use the effect once per turn. And then it's always treated as an Ignite card, so again makes it searchable, so fire and everything else it needs. If this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon 1 Dracoslayer or Ignite monster from your deck except itself. And if you do, it is treated as a tuner. You can only use this effect once per turn. So this is really cool because some of the Ignite cards actually destroy themselves. So it would have been nice to have that same effect. But this one then gives it the ability that if it is destroyed in general, whether it's on the Monster Zone or in the Pendulum Zones, it will trigger that effect to special summon an Ignite or a Dracoslayer from the deck. and then off the back of that, it then becomes a tuner. So it starts unlocking synchro plays for the deck, which is really cool. I think in the past I had to use a Rose Warrior as a tuner to try and make the synchro part of it work, which is really fun, but kind of defeated the object. Okay, so now we've got Dynamite Power Load the Dracoslayer, and as you can probably tell, it is a Dynamist monster, which if you didn't get to play Dynamist back in the day, they were super fun. Before the new Pendulum rules came in, they were actually really, really cool because they started setting up battle protection, they were able to set up target protection, and then they were also on top of that able to set up infinity because they were machines as well. So its pendulum effect is you can target a Dracoslayer or Dynamist card in your other pendulum zone and special summon it. Only use the effect once per turn, so that's really cool because that kind of helps get you your Dynamist Rex and stuff out of your pendulum scales, which is really cool. This card is also always treated as a Dynamist card. If this card is tributed, you can add one face-up Dracoslayer or Dynamist Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand, except itself. Only use the effect once per turn. So specifically, it needs to be tributed, which is a little bit down on the other two in my opinion. But in Dynamist, it's not that big of an issue to do. Yeah. That's pretty much it. It's not exactly... I think this is probably the weakest of all. And then we get the Dragonic Pendulum. And again, you can see the artwork, which is really cool. So, yeah, this is obviously Magistus Maiden, Dynamite Knight, and Ignis Knight. So this is obviously before they merge with Ignites and everything else. And then when they merge, they then become the monsters you've just seen. So all Dracoslayer monsters on the field gain 300 attack and defense. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If a Dragon Dracoslayer monster you control activates his effect, you can target one card on the field, destroy it. If this card on the field is destroyed, you can take one Dracoslayer or Draco Overlord monster from your deck and either add it to your hand or special summon it. I mean, the fact that it has to be destroyed to trigger is a bit disappointing. It's kind of like they've gone, you know what, Dragonic Diagram was a bit too much for the search and protection, so we're only going to give you, like, we're going to make it harder for you to do that. Like, this should have been literally on activation, search out, and then the second effect is non like optional, like it doesn't even need to be there, because I mean, like, this one is if a Dragon Dracoslayer, which you're then looking at all of the other I'll tell you what I'll actually try to do. Let me so that just so you guys are aware that when they talk about Dracoslayers, what are they talking about? Well, this is obviously like a mini Pendulum archetype that we got way back when. So obviously you had Luster Pendulum, the Dracoslayer, which is probably the most famous or most highly used one. So once per turn, if you have a card in your other Pendulum zone, you can destroy that card, and if you do, add one card from your deck to the hand with the same name. So this is obviously how you can loop the Ignis one. It cannot special summon Fusion, Synchro, or XYZ monster using this card material except Dracoslayers. And they had one XYZ, one Fusion, and one Synchro. The other Dracoslayer is once while this card is in your Pendulum zone, you can target one card in the Pendulum zone and destroy it. Now, obviously, this was really kind of cool back in the day when your extra deck wasn't restricted to go into specific zones. Now it's a little bit more difficult, which is why you can see all the new cards are like, right, well, add this back and do that back. Draco Face Off, which is obviously terrible quality on clicking on that one. But basically, this one lets you reveal a Dracoslayer, I think it's Pendulum monster, and one Draco Overlord Pendulum monster from your deck. Your opponent picks one for you to add to the hand, and the other one goes to the extra deck. So, Draco Face Off actually, I believe, got banned or limited back when. And then obviously everyone should know the Synchro, which is Ignis the Prominence, and then you've got the Fusion, which just requires a Dracoslayer and a Pendulum, and you tribute the cards. So, I mean, I suppose maybe then this will trigger the Dynamite one, which is pretty cool. Pendulum monster cards in your monster zone and pendulum zones cannot be destroyed by battle, and your opponent cannot card effect and buy their card effects. So you get to special on a Dracoslayer pendulum monster from your hand or graveyard, but it cannot be used as fusion material. So I mean, I suppose that's pretty cool. Like, these will all see use, which is, well, the main ones will. These three, and then Face Off and Ignis. The XYZ will probably, because when this card is XYZ, you get to add a pendulum monster from your deck to the hand. And then once per turn, detach material from this card, special summon a face-up Dracoslayer pendulum monster from your extra deck. So, I mean, this now becomes more prominent because this is how you'll start getting the new monsters as well. And then you've got the Draco Overlord, which negates all effects in your opponent's pendulum zone, which is a bit weak now, but you can kind of see where it is. But yeah, that's how you can utilize these new cards to their max potential, because they're all going to be Dracoslayers. So it basically just gives you another line of consistency and kind of other cards you can play around with. Anyway, I think these look amazing. I feel for pure nostalgia wise, even though it's not like that old, but for nostalgia of that past format and all of the decks that these are specifically referring to, I think it's really, really cool. About their like competitive playability, I don't think it's gonna be there, but it has kind of made me excited to be like, yo, I can actually play a Dracoslayer deck now that can bring back more. Like, it only had 2 cards, like 2 proper Pendulum cards back then, so it'll be really interesting to see where they can go for at least for fun, and go from there. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, guys, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.